Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to do a walkthrough for the Simply CyberCon CTF. Now, Simply CyberCon was an in-person and virtual conference and was brought to you by the folks behind the Simply Cyber community. The conference and competition were both held about a month ago, and I've just now had a chance to sit down and create a walkthrough. The CTF is a black box CTF, so you aren't really given any information outside of an IP address. And I had a lot of fun completing this, and I hope you do too. So with that said, let's go do this. All right, so we are at the page that has the Simply CyberCon CTF. As you can see here, Simply CyberCon. It's on TryHackMe. You can see my name right here. I did complete this, although I did not finish the last question in time. I was a little frustrated by that, but anyway, I did finally complete it, and I've gone ahead and reset the progress on this room so that I can walk through it again. So first steps, we're going to go ahead and start our machine. This is going to be the machine that we will be attacking, and in just a minute or so, we are going to have an IP address, and we will get started. All right, our virtual machine has loaded, and we now have an IP address. So we're going to go ahead and copy that IP address. And then over here, I do have my Kali box open. And we're going to go ahead and run a quick Nmap scan just to kind of see what we're working with on that box. I'm going to paste in the IP address there. We'll do a T5 and then a -V. Just to do a quick little Nmap scan, we see we have 3 ports that are open. We've got port 22, which is usually going to be SSH. We have this 8080 here, which could be some kind of HTML. And then we also have a port 80 here, which more than likely is going to be some kind of website. So let's go ahead and we'll put in our IP address here, and we'll do port 80 and see what we get. And we get this page. It looks like it's a website under construction. This little spinning circle here, I waited for this to load. Spoiler alert, it's never going to load anything. So this is what you're supposed to see. So if you do see this, you're in the right place. All right, we're just going to make some quick notes here. So I'm going to copy over what we found. Our Nmap scan. These are just some quick little notes here. Okay, maybe clean up some of this up here that we don't really need. All right, so as you can see, this page is not giving us anything. There was an 8080 page as well, and that is forbidden. So we will not be doing anything with that right now. All right, so now we can do a little directory fuzzing, which is going to give us some directories that may be hanging out on this box. You can use dirbuster or gobuster, but for this, I'm going to use dirsearch. So the -u, and then we're going to put in our IP address of the box. And then we're going to give it a word list. Word list. Dirbuster and directory list 2.3 -medium. All right, and we're going to let that run for a minute, and we're going to see all these directories that are going to start coming in, and maybe they will give us something juicy. We have a media, we've got templates, we've got admin, we've got this notes right here. We can try this admin. Oh, we have an admin login page, but we do not have any kind of credentials. I did try to see if this was susceptible to like a SQL injection or anything like that, but I did not have any luck with that. So let's see what other directories we have. We have a notes here. Oh, let's continue that. We have a /notes. Boom, and look at that. we have our first flag. That was quick. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put that flag in right there. And that is our first flag. We also have some other information in here. We have administrator credentials with an admin and password of 123456. That's the same as my luggage. Crazy. So we do have that admin page that we tried before. Maybe these credentials work for that. /admin. All right, and that was admin and password was 123456. And look at that, we are in the administrator dashboard. Now, what do we have in here? This is a full-fledged dashboard. And I will be honest, I did try to poke around in here for quite some time and I was not able to really find anything. I was trying to see if I could find somewhere to upload an exploit or anything like that. There may be something in here, but I ended up going in a different direction. And you will see that in just a second when we pull up Exploit DB. Now, Exploit DB is a database of a ton of different exploits for a ton of different web apps and software. And just conveniently, this administrator dashboard tells us exactly what it's running. It's WBCE version 1.6.2. And if we search in our Exploit DB, look at that. We have a remote code execution vulnerability in this exact version of this exact software. Okay, so we have our remote code execution exploit here. There's just some problems with it. First of all, it's really poorly formatted. I don't know if it's just the way that this site displays it or if it's the way it was originally written. And I believe there were a couple syntax errors in there that I ended up having to fix, and I had copied all this over and put it into an editor, and I was starting to fix the formatting myself, and then I was like, wait a second, there's a much easier way to do this. So let's copy this code, and then we're going to go over to my buddy ChatGPT. Now, well, back to this. This is written in Python. If you didn't know that, we'll show you a little trick that you could use ChatGPT for. So you can say, I have this code. Can you tell me what language it was written in? And then put the code in there. And boom, the code you provided is written in Python, can be identified using these characteristics. And then you can also say, can you fix the formatting in this code for me? And boom, we will get a perfectly formatted Python script that we can run to exploit our machine. And for the sake of saving you some time, I have already uploaded a fixed version of this to my GitHub, and it can be found under the offensive security and exploits repository. And it's right here. I'm going to go ahead and go to raw, copy this, and then we're going to go back to our Kali box. Go back to command prompt. I'm going to make a directory for this called scon. And then I'm going to do nano exploits pi to create our exploit. I've already pasted this in here. We'll go ahead and exit out. And then to execute this, we're going to type Python 3 exploit, and then http://10 110.159.78. Our username is admin. Our password is 123456. Then run, and fingers crossed, we should be able to log in. Login successful. And shell preparing. And our shell is ready. And this is what we can use to access that shell. So we can right click on this and do open link. And there's our shell. We can see we can run code in here. Well, we can run commands in here. So that's the present working directory. We can ls, that's what's in this directory. And we can kind of navigate around. See, well, let's see. Yep, we can see what other kinds of directories are on this box. Let's see what kind, if we have any kind of permissions here. Cat etc password. And look at that. So as you can see, we catted etc password, and we've been able to get a list of accounts on this computer. A couple interesting ones down here at the bottom. We've got a developer account, we've got a debugger account, and we've got a Gitolite 3 account. Also a QA THM. All of these could be interesting. Let's see if we can get a home directory here. All right, so look, we've got, in our home directory, we've got directories for debugger, developer, QA THM, Ubuntu. So let's try to ls the home and debugger, the first one. We don't have anything in there, so what else? We have developer here. Let's try that. Right there. And boom, we have our flag 2. So to get that, we're gonna do cat, and that's in home, developer, and it is flag 2.text. And there is our second flag. Go ahead and copy that. Go back to our TryHackMe page, submit that, and we've got 2 flags out of 4. All right, so we're back in the home directory here, and I don't know if you noticed, but when we found that flag 2 in the developer directory, there was some other stuff in there. So let's go back in there, home/developer. And so we've got git keys and Gitolite, which I was unfamiliar with Gitolite before this, but it turns out that it is something for running Git on a central server. So that could potentially lead us to our next flag. So let's see what's in that git keys, because that sounds like it could be promising. And I've already got that there, so what's in there? And it looks like we have a private key and a public key for the Gitolite user. So let's see if we can cat that private key. /git keys, and it's ID _ ECDSA. And we have the private key for the Gitolite 3 user. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, go back to our terminal. I'm going to move to our scon directory, and I'm going to name this, we'll do Gitolite E, and we'll go ahead and paste that in here. Control X, save, yes. All right, so now we have our private key for the Gitolite. So what can we do with that? first thing I tried was to SSH into the box using that key as the Gitolite 3 user. So first we're gonna chmod that key 600, and then we'll try to SSH. It's gonna be -i Gitolite key, and then as the Gitolite 3 account at our IP address 10.10.159.78. And we'll do yes. And unfortunately, we cannot get into the box, but we do get some information from this. And that is that we have read and write access to these 2 repositories that are using Gitolite on this server. One is the debugger app, and one is the testing. All right, so now that we know we have read and write access on these 2 repositories, we can go ahead and clone those to our local machine so that we can take a closer look at whatever's in there. So to do this, we're going to need a command called git ssh command. It's going to be git _ssh command. Oh, nope. And equals ssh-i. We're going to need that Gitolite key, and it's going to be git clone ssh Gitolite 3 at our target IP address, which is 10.10.159.78. And then we need the name of the repository, app, debugger app. Oh, so now we should see that. And we do have that debugger app on our local machine. And then we'll go ahead and do the testing as well. We're going to do that same command, but at the end, we're going to change debugger app to testing. Oh, and it is an empty repository. So if we go into that testing, we can see there's nothing in there. So we're going to go back up, and we should have that debugger app repository. So we'll cd into there. And what do we have? We have an app.py, we have a requirements.txt, and some templates. So let's see what is in requirements. Flask. Well, that's not very useful. Let me go ahead and clear my screen here real quick. All right, so we have this app.py. Let's see what app.py, and it looks like it is some code for a web app. Okay, so I made the text in this window a little bit larger so it's easier to see. All right, so we're looking at this app.py, and if we scroll down in here, we see that there is a variable called hard-coded cookie value that is set to placeholder in here. If we go down a little bit further, we see that this has some middleware to check the cookie for every request. And it's going to define a variable here called cookie, and it's request a cookie from the browser called debugger cookie. And if that cookie does not equal the hard-coded value, then it's going to give you a forbidden access. That sounds familiar. If we scroll down a little bit further, we see that this app is running on the host on port 8080. Now we had that site earlier running on port 8080 that we got a forbidden access on right here. All right, so we're back on our page where we got it access denied, and if we go ahead and right click and we'll go to inspect, so basically the developer tools of our browser, and we go to storage. What I was trying here, what I got stuck on for a while, was I kept trying to, so we know it's looking for the hard-coded cookie value. Well, in this file, that is set to placeholder. So what I was trying to do is set this debugger cookie in the browser to placeholder, hoping that that would give access. And I was stuck here for a really long time. And I can show you what I'm talking about. So we can come over here to the plus sign, add one. We can change this to debugger underscore cookie. And we set the value to placeholder. And we'll refresh our page, and guess what? We still get forbidden. So I was stuck here for a while, and I kind of took a step back, took a break, got something to drink, thought about this a little bit longer. And I was like, why is this under Git? Like, what is there specifically about Git that I am missing? And I was like, wait a second. If this is Git, and Git is for version control, then there may be some older files that have been changed that I can go back and find the older commits for. All right, so we're gonna go back to our terminal, and we're gonna do a git, take this off caps, git log. And under here, we can see older commits. And we have a commit that says fixed debugger cookie value. And then there's an initial commit of the debugger app. So what we're looking at right now in our terminal up here is going to be this fixed version. But if we go back and find this older version, maybe there's something in there that can help us. So to do that, we're going to do a git show. And we're going to need the hash value of the commit. So we'll go ahead and copy this and paste that. And then we're going to do :app.py, which is the file that we want to see. And if we do that, bing, ding, ding, look what we have. Right here under the hode-carded cookie value, we have remote debugger. So if we go ahead and copy that, and we go over here to our browser and we change our debugger cookie to that value, and we go ahead and refresh, now we have a console in our web app. And we can run commands in here. Like, who am I? We are running as the debugger. We're basically running as that app. Let's see, ls. We don't need this anymore. We got all these directories now. We can't cd home, but we can ls home. And we've got those same accounts from before. We've got debugger, developer, QA, THM, and Ubuntu. We've already been the developer. So let's take a look at debugger since we're running as debugger. And there's our flag number 3. So now we can cat that. Debugger/flag 3.txt. And bam, there's our third flag. Copy that. Go back to our site. Paste it in. Submit. And we've got one more flag left, and it's a doozy. All right, so we've got our third flag done, and we can go ahead and look around in here some more and see if we can find anything that will point us to the fourth flag. Let's see. We're in the home debugger. Last time when we were in the developer directory, we found the clue to our next kind of path to follow. Let's see if there's anything in here for debugger. We have the source directory. Let's see if there's anything in there. And it's basically the stuff that was in the repository that we cloned earlier. So I've looked through there. There's nothing in there really that's going to point us in anywhere that we need to go. See if we can cat etc password. We can. We see the same information that we got before. let's see, shadow. We do not have permission for that. But we can run a command to see what we do have permission, well, sudo permission over. If we do a sudo -l, and that will tell us that our debugger user may run the following commands with no password. And that's going to be systemctl restart debugger, which is that debugger service running this app. And then we can also reload the daemon. So what can we do with that information? Well, can we access the debugger service? Because if we can access the service and we can rewrite it to do something else that we want it to do, and then we can restart it, we may have an in. So if we do systemctl status debugger, this will tell us where that debugger service is located. And that is under lib systemd system debugger service. So let's see. Well, we'll do a ls-la lib systemd/system debugger. Oh, actually, we're going to leave that off. And this will tell us, let's see, debugger service. We have read and write access to that debugger service. So that means we can overwrite it. And what are we going to overwrite it with? We're going to overwrite it with an exploit that will give us a reverse shell. Right, so we know that we have read-write access on this debugger service, and we know that we can restart that service without a password. But how do we write to that service if we don't really have access to like a text editor? We can't use Nano or anything like that in here. And so took a little research, but I finally found a command, and I will paste it in the description below. I'm going to put this in here. Basically, here, I'll pull this over here. All right, so what this is going to do is it's going to have the service start a bash shell, basically on what is going to be our, this is going to be the IP address of our localhost on port 4444. That's going to have this shell connect out to this address on that port. And then this is going to write that to this debugger service. And then this /dev null is going to discard the output. So we paste that in there. Actually, before we do that, I need to verify our let's see, if config. All right, so we need to grab, this is the IP address that we are using for our VPN tunnel to TryHackMe server. So we need to copy that. And I'm going to change our command to have that. Oh, it's the same as it was before. So now we are going to copy it. We don't want the space above. We're going to copy that, and we're going to put it into our command over here. We're going to run that. We should not get any output there. And then after that, we're going to need to go systemctl daemon reload. That's going to reload our daemon, and then we're going to, actually before we execute this next command, we're going to come back over to our terminal, and we'll clear it out. We'll do a netcat. We'll do -lvnp and on port 4444. So now we've got a listener waiting for our shell to connect to us. And then here we're going to do sudo systemctl restart debugger. And that's going to restart our debugger service. And when that happens, we should, yeah, it's okay if you lose connection here, but we should in our terminal now have a shell on the box as root. Who am I? I am root. Let's see what we've got here. We've got, oh, we have a root directory. We have a home directory, so cd into home. We got those same accounts from earlier. See if there's anything in QA/THM. Nope. We'll go to Ubuntu. No. Nothing in here. All right. And back up one more. ls. All right. How about this root directory? ls in there, and now we have our flag number 4. We can go ahead and cat that. Boom. There's our last flag. Copy it. Come back over. Paste it in. Submit. And we are done. And we had fun. I guarantee we had fun. I hope you enjoyed that walkthrough. I know I had a ton of fun when I was doing it, and I've had fun making this walkthrough. If there's anything that you came across that you did differently from me, or anything that you think I could do better, you know, please leave a comment down below. If you enjoyed this, let me know. If you hated it, let me know. I'm all about getting better at it, okay? And I appreciate you all watching, and I'll see you on the next one.